wearing Monster Energy hats and punching holes in drywall. They just go together so fucking well. We had The Final Girls in 2015, which I loved, and then we had Freaky in 2020, which I also loved, and now we have Amazon Prime dipping its toes in just in time for Halloween this year and bringing us Totally Killer. I don't know why it works so well. Maybe it's because slashers tend to set place in high school, and that's a really good foundation for like time travel movies and comedy. But I enjoyed the hell out of this. I enjoyed the fuck out of it like I did the other two. Call me a basic bitch all you want. Pfft, whatever. But this was enjoyable as shit to me. This was perfect for my slightly hungover Sunday. I would recommend watching this film if you love time travel slashers. Like I mentioned, if you liked Freaky or The Final Girls, you'll like this. If you loved 80s movies like The Breakfast Club, Back to the Future, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, you'll probably get a lot out of this one too. If you have a sneaking suspicion that one or both of your parents were a bit of an arsewipe in high school, you'll have a lot of fun with this one too. I don't recommend watching this if you don't like slashers. This is a slasher through and through. And if you don't like silly movies, this movie is silly. This is a silly goose time. Alright, so if you're not a silly goose, get the fuck out of the pond. A high school girl in this makes a time machine out of like parts that look like they could be in some incel's gaming PC. So if you're not happy to turn your brain off, don't go in on this one. Now the story of any time travel movie is a bit convoluted, so please bear with me. We've got 17-year-old Jamie, played by Kernan Shipka. She has a fight with her overprotective mum Pam, played by Modern Family's own Julie Bowen. Pam doesn't like Julie going out around Halloween, which is fair because all of Pam's high school friends were brutally murdered in Halloween of 1987. The killer has now become the famous Sweet 16 killer, and Pam's worries weren't unfounded because when Jamie returns home, she finds that Pam has been killed by the Sweet 16 killer 35 years later. First of all, can we take a break? 35 years later. That's keeping your eye on the prize. Like, this dude needs to hang up his fucking knife and get into running goal setting workshops because a 35-year ROI is fucking phenomenal. Of course, unless you're Pam or Jamie. Jamie, with the help of her genius best friend Amelia, decides to travel back to 1987 and stop the killings, therefore ensuring that her mum will survive in the future. The problem is, when Jamie gets back to 1987 and meets her high school mum, she finds out that her mum is the fucking worst. Not only her mum, her friends too are the fucking worst. They're all the fucking worst. They're the worst people. I know that sounds like a complicated plot, and it raises all sorts of time paradox questions involving quantum mechanics, but please trust me when I say you can turn your brain off to watch this movie. It's actually probably more enjoyable if you do turn your brain off to watch this movie. This movie is an easy watch because one, it's a premise we've seen before, you've seen it 100 times in all different forms of media, and two, it's fucking funny. This movie has such well-written dialogue, it had me in fucking stitches. They roast the 80s better than just about anything I've ever seen. There are jokes about everything from smoking in cars with kids to the blatant disregard for stranger danger to the over-the-top racism that was just waving around in everyone's face at all times. Poor Jamie trying to save her mum and her shitty friends is endlessly entertaining. And they, like her mum's friends actually reminded me of they're like the souped up versions of the plastics from Mean Girls. You sort of want them to die, to be honest. But you're like Jamie, so it sort of balances out. But there are points where you're like, fuck, I wish you would just die. Randall Park deserves a mention as well in this because he plays like a shitty sheriff. And he is so fucking funny, as he is in everything. It's Randall Park, for fuck's sake. But he's really good in this. There's some very funny scenes. This movie does a really good job at answering a lot of questions I usually have with time travel movies. Like, why can't you just get a piece of DNA from the killer and then hand it to the cops? Well, for example, DNA testing. Not widely known back then. There's a very funny scene that deals with that exact premise. The comedy is also amplified by the fact that Jamie, although she's like the protagonist and the one who's travelled back in time, she doesn't know fuck all about science. So whenever she has to explain to someone what's going on, she quickly realizes she doesn't know what the fuck's going on. She's a bit of a dum-dum, and that's a really nice touch. Having like like not a book smart protagonist in a sci-fi is really fucking good. If you're looking for a light-hearted, fun horror comedy, this is a great pick. There is, of course, the gore and the sex that comes with all high school slashers, but if you've got a bit of a tolerance to that, you'll be fine here. It's not particularly gruesome, and you know when to look away. This is a fucking good movie. This is a good movie. If you're looking for something funny, or you're horror-phobic, this is a good one to pick up. Grab some popcorn, set your brain to giggle mode, and don't forget, on Wednesdays we wear pink. As always, thanks for watching. I hope to see you tomorrow for another review. Peace.